Parshas Bechukosai, Lila Nishmas, all of the Zaydis and Babis, all of the people who require a full Shalema should have it, and Klal Yisrael should see Yeshua and all of the things that we do. This Parsha of Bechukosai is the first of the two Tochachas in the Torah, first being Bechukosai, and was put there, the way the Chachamim set up the laning of the year, so it's right before Shavuos, in fact, exactly when it is, because it's a contract. What does a contract mean? Contract means if you do this, I'll do that. If you don't do this, I won't do that. So Hashem says, brachos and klalos. If you keep the Torah, which is coming up in Shavuos, then we'll give you the brachos. And if not, chas v'shalom, the opposite. Similarly, kisavo precedes yomim noroyim. Same idea of a contract. I heard that from many big gedolim. One of the wonderful things that is written in Parshas Bechukosai, which is quoted all the time, is "V'nasati gishmeichem be'itam." I will give you the rains in the proper time, a tremendous bracha, which we city folks take for granted, and we also look at rain as an inconvenience because it gets in the way of doing what we got to do. But without rain, we can't live. So Rashi says, "What does "V'nasati gishmeichem be'itam" mean? Which translates as, "I will give you the rain in the proper time, be'itam in the right time." So Rashi says it's at night, when people are not traveling and will not be bothered by the rain. The Gemara in Yuma, according to Rav Chaim Kanievsky in his Sefer on Chumash, writes, Rabbi Chanina Mendoza was traveling, rain began to fall. He davened, Rebbeinu Shloim, should all the world be happy while Chanina is getting wet? Immediately the rain stopped. So the kasha is, which the Marsha asks, how could Rabbi Chanina put his own convenience ahead of the needs of everyone else who needed rain for their crops? We're going to discuss the Marsha in just a moment because I have another vort on the Marsha. But to get to this kasha, so we don't lose a train of thought, Rav Chaim says it's likely Rav Chanina knew he would be able to successfully daven with the rain to come back, as Gemara says that he did. The temporary halt would not inconvenience anyone. Now, here's an interesting chap that Rav Chaim says, which is negea to us. Rav Chaim says it's a very important principle. A person should always daven for what he needs. You need something, daven to Hashem, and trust in Him to ensure that He will, number one, get it, and number two, that will not hurt other people by His granting of His tefillos. And this is proven by the famous situation of the Kohen Gadol on Yom Kippur in the Kodesh Kadoshim. One of the tefillos, one of them, there were quite a few, is to not listen to the tefillos of travelers who are asking that it shouldn't rain and upset their journey. Now, it cannot be said that such a tefillah is an incorrect or inappropriate tefillah, because then why would the Kohen Gadol have to daven that it should be slugged up? If he's behaving incorrectly, he doesn't have to say it. Therefore, by the Kohen Gadol saying that, we see that this tefillah was a proper tefillah, that a person should daven for anything that he needs, and he should trust in Hashem that this will not bother other people in the course of his tefillah, that other people will not get what they need from Hashem because of his convenience. Now, the beginning of the parsha of Bechukosai says, in Bechukosai Te'elechu, which all the Mefarshim, starting from Rashi, working their way down, discusses Amelus B'Torah. Person's Amel B'Torah, then HaKadosh Baruch Hu will shower him with brachos and hatzlachos. Here's a fascinating story which I showed to everybody this week, which is not the week of Bechukosai, back in Kedoshim, which has a relevance to our parsha and has a tremendous story, which I want to be saying this story because people said, how come nobody heard this story? And here we go. The Jewish community of Ostrach suffered heavily from his Goyish population. These anti-Semites did whatever they could to make the lives of the Jewish citizens miserable. One of the more oppressive decrees leveled at the Jewish community was that if Chas V'Shalom, a Jew died, his coffin had to be carried past the community church, from which time the priests and their sympathizers would come out of the church and curse the Jews and even would start beating them, resort to physical blows. These kfarim were proficient in the powers of Tumah and blackmail. They employed all of their impure skills to inject thoughts of Avodah Zorah into the minds of the hapless Jews. Not only did they succeed in terrorizing the Jews, It's also called a terrible dishonor to the mace, in addition to the Chilul Hashem. Speaking of the Marsha, when the Marsha who lived in this town saw that his culmination was coming, he instructed the Chevra Kadisha to place this firm he had written, which is Chedusha Halachos and the Chedusha Godos of the Marsha, upon his mita, on which they were going to transport his body. When they reached the church, they were to stop the procession and place the mita on the ground. The funeral cortege, all of the people, included just about every single person in the Jewish community. When they reached the church, they put the mita on the ground and moved aside. Suddenly, the mace sat up. The Marsha sat up and began to learn from his Sfarim as if he were alive. The priests were in utter state of shock, seeing a corpse arise and study Torah. They turned around and to their horror saw that the church was slowly sinking into the ground, deeper and deeper, until it was completely swallowed up. At that moment, they ran for their lives, perceiving they had just witnessed a miracle of epic proportion. This demonstrates the extraordinary powers of a Jew who learns and adheres to the Torah. So that's in Bechukosai Teilechu. We certainly could not possibly imagine that we were able to pull off such a feat. We're not the Marsha, but it's a tremendous story, and I just was so much spoiled from it. And people asked me, "You think it's true?" I said, "Yes, I do." In fact, one of the Mispalim I showed it to said when Rabbi Obam was in the Ukraine with his group on one of his many tours of the Mekamis HaKadoshim, he's mentioned and related over the story and spent a long time at this place in Ukraine talking about the Marsha. So that's somebody who can learn from, something we can learn from. The two takeaways from our lesson today: if you need something, ask Hashem and sit and learn. The more you learn, the greater level your Kedusha, and Nisa Hashem will be able to be poiling ice alles git in this Olam Hazeh. It's Shabbos.